Welcome back to another episode of Harmonious at Lunch, the show that fuels your business success. I'm Brandon Gano, your host and guide through the world of harmonious business growth. Today, we're unlocking powerful strategies with industry experts to help your business thrive. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or executive, you are in the right place. Join me and our incredible guests today on the journey to clarity, growth, and success. It is time to revolutionize your approach to business. Let's dive in with another episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Welcome back into some more bite-sized business advice. And today we have one of my favorite types of episodes. It's a business journey or a success story episode. I love hearing from other entrepreneurs, how they got to where they are in their career, the ups and the downs, the bumps along the way. We've all had them, right? And I just love hearing what people have been through to create their businesses. So today we have a very special guest, Nancy Dillingham Marks. Nancy, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Brandon. I'm excited to be here.
So not only are you going to share your obviously unique story because it's unique to you, but you have a very unique business too. So let's set the stage there. You are in the glass business. Tell me more about that.
Yes. So when people think of glass art, they're usually thinking of blown glass or stained glass. And I kind of fall in the middle. It's fused glass. So we make it a nice room temperature, comfortable environment, music playing, laughter, and going kind of at our own pace. And then at night, when the rates are lower for electricity, we put those pieces of art into the kilns, similar to ceramic kilns, but the heating elements are in slightly different places. And we turn them on and we're gone. And then we don't come back till they're ready to be opened again. And it's like Christmas morning when you open that kiln and you see the beauty of what's happened to the glass in the heat. It's softened, it's smoothed, it's fused together.
That is super cool. I have not heard of that. I love your passion. It also sounds like your insurance premiums are through the roof if you're leaving fire on overnight. Am I right there?
Well, actually, it's not that bad because they are very contained units, and it is electrical. It's not a live flame.
Okay.
And so they run on electricity. And that's why I do it at night when the rates are lower. I'm trying to save the electricity for the planet and everyone else, but it just works out really well for us.
That is super cool. So I love this, but you shared with me before we started recording that this is not your first venture in the business world. You actually were in corporate for a very long time. So I'm curious to hear, what were you doing in corporate? And then ultimately what made you say, enough of this, I'm going to start my own business?
Well, I started off as a clerk typist. I went into HR and payroll. Back then it was still personnel. I went over to ABC Motion Pictures. I went with my boss to Columbia Pictures. I went to post-production. I went over to IT, which is where I kind of found my harmony and was in that for the majority of the 35 years. And then ended up working with my husband, and he decided to sell the company. And it's like, what am I going to do now? So I decided I know how to run a business. I understand customer service. I saw a lot of things that I didn't think were done as well as they could have in corporate. And so being able to kind of make a decision and turn on a dime and improve things and be able to take care of people, that's what I love. I love those win-win-win. Everybody's successful and happy.
That's what I love about small business, right? It's like you can do all of those things. And in the corporate world, that would take 16 meetings to just decide one thing to make a customer happy. That's what I love hearing from small business owners. So you took the leap. Well, you had the pause, right? You had that time to say, okay, what's next? And you decided small business at a really good time, I heard too. So tell me about the starting of your small business journey.
Yeah, I was doing fused glass, and the studio that I was working in, the owner decided to close that particular branch location. She had a great crystal ball. She saw COVID coming and I didn't. So I decided I don't have to know it all. I know how to run a business. I don't know everything about fused glass, but there's a wonderful community in our area, and there were people who could help me. So I didn't have to have an ego that said, I know how to do it all. I was more than happy to bring in other people who knew more than I did and who could help make me and my studio successful.
Yeah, it's a good attitude to have. And then the world throws a wrench in your plans,
Yeah.
which wasn't ideal, we'll say, but it wasn't ideal for everybody. So you
Yeah.
start 5 weeks before COVID. I didn't realize you were actually at another company first, but you're starting your own. COVID hits. Where were you at that point? 5 weeks in, probably not too far along. What did that wrench look like for you?
Oh, it was a pretty big wrench. And, of course, mindset and everything else, it was all kicking in like, what are you doing? What are you thinking? All that kind of stuff. But then I realized I really knew this was the right thing to do. I just knew it in my heart and I followed my heart instead of my head. And so I focused more on exploring fused glass for myself and learning how to do more things and improving little things and organizational things in the studio, which is my background. And it came out to be great. The one thing I still didn't master in that time frame, which shows sometimes I'm a little slow, marketing and publicity. Oh my gosh, that's much harder than I thought.
Oh man, we are kindred spirits here. I hate marketing. As a matter of fact, okay, for the listeners of the show, you know this. If this is your first time listening, go listen to yesterday's episode. It was we talked about marketing. We talked about the three non-essentials of marketing, and all I did the whole episode was complain about how much I hate marketing and disagree with the non-essentials. Not because they're not essential, but because I hate them. So I'm curious then, what did you do? Because that was probably the most important time for any business to be visible, be marketing, and get out in front of your ideal customers. So what did you do?
I did a lot of social media posts. I did advertising in the local paper. I spread the word through friends who spread the word through friends. I mean, I begged, please spread the word I'm here. Please tell your friends. Please tell people that I have a gift shop. I have classes in fused glass, stained glass, and mosaic. I have got this wonderful environment and studio. Please come learn and meet me.
There's no
I
shame in
begged a lot.
that, right? There's no shame in that. I love it. So at that time though, what was your business model? You were, it sounds like all in person. You did classes, you had products to buy. Was there anything else I'm missing?
Nope. The things to buy were only curbside pickup. I wasn't even set up for shipping yet.
Oh, okay. Wow. So you're really relying on the local market.
Yes.
I love it. So then transition to, oh, how long has it been? 4 years now almost
It's
since
now
that?
5.5 years.
Wow. That's okay. Time flies. That's crazy.
Yes, it
Um,
does.
so what was that growth journey like from, the 5 weeks in, the panic, to begging for people to come into your studio? Obviously you've made it past that. What were the next couple of years like? How did you start to grow your studio and your business?
It really was word of mouth. Um, because it's very difficult to explain fused glass. I've had some team building sessions for companies, and anytime it was a marketing department, I'd say, okay, now that you've completed the class, help me understand how do I promote something that people don't understand what it is. And they all looked at me and said, we're not really sure. Word of mouth is going to be the best thing for you because people aren't going to understand fused glass and they're going to be afraid of it. And so I've really been blessed. I mean, people appreciate the fact that it's a hard thing, it's a hard sell. And so they just tell their friends, and their friends sign up, they bring friends in, they tell their boss, they tell their coworkers, and it's working.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Exactly.
So then fast forward to today, is your business model still the same or have you added on to it?
We now ship internet, and we ship throughout the United States. We're not quite to international yet. I want to make sure it all works. My platform is being redesigned because we had some issues with shipping charges on the current platform, and we couldn't get them resolved. So little things like that and glitches. But you know what? Those are real small glitches. In the big picture, it's just okay. That's all right. We'll get it fixed,
Mhm.
and we just keep going. And we have parties, and we even have wine night. I named it Wine by the Glass instead of wine night.
Look at that. I like the play on words there. I see what you did.
Yep. And I tell corny jokes. With the kids that come in, we teach 7 and up, and I'll ask them whose jokes are worse, mine or their dad. And, I get good answers. So I have a lot of fun with it. I enjoy sharing my passion. So that makes it the easiest thing in the world to do. It's not when they tell you Then when you find something you're really passionate about, it's no longer a job. It's true.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And it's so cool to see that you found that. You could tell too. I can just tell watching you describe it. But in these 5 years, 5.5 years, the one thing that stuck out in the beginning, which I find holds most people up, whether they're established businesses going from 6 to 7 figures, or they're new businesses and afraid to start, is you said you didn't have to have it right, and you just knew you could find people who knew the answers. What are some of those things that maybe you were surprised with over the years that you didn't even know you needed to know, but you ended up having to figure out or having to find someone who did know it?
Well, some of it was equipment that I needed to have and how to use it correctly. So when we have a piece of glass that wasn't quite shaped the way we hoped it would, we do what's called cold working, because we're not doing it with heat. We're doing it's cold work instead of the hot work. And trying to find the right equipment, trying to find the right tools. How do you properly use them? I have become a mechanic. I am able to repair most of the equipment that I have. Having to have to find out what's the real life span of some of the things. So, it's like, how much spare stuff should I have in stock? Kiln firing schedules are pretty basic for the normal stuff, but then people started challenging the glass, and all of a sudden I had to learn how to challenge the kiln correctly to respond to those challenges. And we had some mistakes, but you know what? We learned through every mistake. We learned so much more than had we not had the mistake. So it's all been a fun journey, and it's still going.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you talk about the journey. Obviously, business and life is a journey. What's the next phase of your journey that you're really focused on? Whether that's 3 to 5 years out, like what are you hoping to take your business through?
You know what? I'm so happy with the way it is. I don't really know that I've really thought that far out yet. We have open studio members, and this is a community that has been formed of people who know the skills now, and they come in. It's kind of like a gym membership. They pay monthly, and they come in, and we changed the dynamic a bit, where I now have an art gallery exhibit as well, because a lot of people have never heard of fused glass, and they can come in and actually look at it by artist. We modified the website so that you know whose art is whose as you're looking at it, so that you can then look at just that particular artist if you want. So I kind of just go with the flow. What needs to happen? Hey, let's make it happen. Let's find those win-win-wins. And the customers get so much more out of it. And the artists, when they have someone see their art, they get so excited seeing how someone else lights up. And the patron is so excited to see the artist and meet them and hear their story. And so there's probably going to be a podcast in my future of talking to artists. Is probably the next phase.
Cool. That's awesome. Just by definition, a fractional COO, like we get hung up on the future and planning and executing and all that fun stuff. So I am a vision nerd, if you will, but at the same time, and let's not discount our source. The Bible says, without a vision, the people will perish. But here's the flip side of that conversation. And this is part of the reason I started this podcast. I don't like the narrative in the marketing world, in the business world in general, that you always have to grow your business. I talk to so few people. You are on a short list of maybe 3 who I've spoken to that are just happy with their business, and they don't need to grow. They don't have a desire to be the next biggest thing in the world. And I want to say that's refreshing. And I want to say thank you for that, because a lot of people tend to shame that sort of an outlook and look down on it. But I want to bring these stories to light, because you don't have to be the biggest thing in the world. Like, the smile on your face really says it all. If you can get your business to the point where Nancy's is, I think we'd be a lot happier in business. So Nancy, thank you for sharing your story here.
Oh, Brandon, thank you. And one of the fun reasons for me to go on podcasts is that not everyone's going to come to Southern California and come visit me. I get that. But there are so many wonderful artists and fused glass studios around the world. If you're interested, go find one near you. I'm really okay with that. It doesn't all have to come to me. I'm willing to spread that joy out to all the other studios.
I love it. So maybe the vision includes building a community around Fuse Glass. Doesn't have to, you don't have to run the community, but you're building the community in general.
Exactly.
I love it. Nancy, this was an awesome episode. I appreciate you coming here. Where can the listeners go and learn more about you and what you're doing?
My website's the best place. Glass Arts, there's an S on that, collective.com. And the classes are online, the gift shop's online, frequently asked questions. We even have a gallery of art that isn't for sale, and podcasts that I've been on are on there, including a TV segment I've been on. So there's a lot of stuff going on in my website. One place, one-stop shopping.
I love it. That's awesome. I put it on the screen for you listening. If you're watching, it's on the screen wherever you're watching and listening. It's also down in the show notes below, so you can go check that out. Browse around their website, check out all the cool creative pieces Nancy has on there. And I'm curious though. I love to end these episodes with a question, but it really sounds like we're talking about a different kind of business here, which again I love. What's a powerful question that you want the listeners to ask themselves until they get a powerful answer about creating the business of their dreams that they're happy and content with and fulfills them, rather than just the business everyone else thinks they should create?
I think it's important to ask yourself, what brings you joy? In like my case, I wasn't a natural artist. I wasn't someone who's had all kinds of artistic things throughout my life. I had to search a bit to find something that I could really be passionate about and that I wanted to have as a business. And you know what? When I found it, I just knew it. I mean, even with the circumstances of COVID, I knew this was what was right for me to be doing. And there's no looking back. I just look forward.
That's so amazing. I love it. I feel refreshed after this episode. That's what I'm going to say about that. So Nancy, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Brandon. I really appreciate it.
For those of you watching and listening, wherever you are, make sure you subscribe. We love bringing these episodes to you 5 days a week to help you create a more harmonious business and life. That's what it's all about. It sounds like Nancy has that for sure. And we want you to have that too. Have that joy, that contentment and peace, knowing that your business is what you want it to be and not what someone else says it should be. That's the whole point of why we do this. So thanks for listening. Make sure you subscribe. We'll see you on the next episode of Harmonious.